Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the House of Kayfabe. I have returned. I am back here because of what an amazing Royal Rumble we got to experience. There are people out there that are actually complaining about the Royal Rumble. And for those people, I have to ask, why? Why would you complain about such a great Royal Rumble? I'm here with Steven Barker and Adam Harris, and we are ready to dive in to all things Royal Rumble 2023. How's it going, Steve?
Man, when wrestling's good, Brian Resner, it's the best. And
really
last night, we just talked about this before we came on. The thing about last night is everyone, including Las Vegas, if you keep up with the odds, because I like to every once in a while lay a wager, everyone knew the outcomes of everything. Now, if you were to watch a football game and I say, I'm going to tell you who wins, you're probably not going to be that interested. But Triple H is such a fucking god of booking. And I'm not the biggest Triple H mark. He's such a god of booking. He was able to, I know, everybody else is but me. He delivered something that we knew exactly what was going to happen. And it's one of the best pay-per-views I've seen in the last couple of years.
Yeah, and, we did know what was going to happen. I thought it was interesting because, I like to consider myself somewhat of an expert. But a lot of times I will pick the card and I will not be as accurate because I feel like sometimes I pick my winners by what I want to happen, not by what they have written to happen. I go by with what I would write. And usually I'm wrong because I would write something different. However, this pay-per-view here, I went through all the way and was like, I picked this person, this person, this person, this person. And I was correct 100% of the time throughout the entire night, which lets me know that things are happening the way I want them to. They might not be happening as fast as I want them to, and maybe not in all the right directions that I would necessarily pick, but I'm not complaining because I'm definitely happy about the direction. And that really just brings us to the start of the night. One thing that made me unhappy is that the Royal Rumble match, the men's Royal Rumble match. And when I say the one, I'm not saying because it's the men's. I'm saying because it's the original, the one that we have seen year after year after year. And it curtain jerks. Now, I can say I wasn't extremely happy about the placement of where that match was normally. But last night I was kind of sleepy, so I was really glad to get all of my energy in the very first match. So maybe it wasn't as bad of a decision as I thought it was. I wasn't extremely happy when I heard that match was going to be first. What did you think about the placement of the Royal Rumble match, Steve?
I thought that I had missed something. I thought that maybe it started earlier. And I turned it on at 8, right? When I go, and I think it is. And I'm like, did this start at 7? It made no sense. It was off-putting at first, but then I think that they wanted to keep it away from the main event and the big angle that we've been leading up to for 2 years, 3 years, almost since the beginning of this podcast. Back when we were in podcast form, I specifically remember doing an episode with you and Stephen P. New at the beginning of the Bloodline, and that was over 2 years ago. So I think that it made sense when you see the whole picture. I think, Adam, I think you agree that they wanted it away from the main event.
Yeah, definitely. I think so. And I also think they want to start hot for that crowd in San Antonio. They were going to take advantage of that. They were itching for the Royal Rumble. As much as we were to watch it, those folks were there. And so I think it got huge reaction. And part of the great reactions is because of it being first, I think. I don't want to gloss over the biggest surprise of the night, though, which was the first return we saw. And it wasn't even in the Royal Rumble. Pat McAfee back behind the desk.
McAfee.
God bless him. He's a national treasure.
Dude, my only purpose on this show, I could probably just say this and fucking leave, but I'm not going to because I want to talk to my friends about wrestling. I just want to say that Michael Cole and Pat McAfee, and specifically Michael Cole, are the best announcers in the business. It's not even close. AW Mark should get some of this. Dude, they're fucking great. Michael Cole was great last night. Brian Resner, we did an earlier podcast back when we were on podcast form, or only in podcast form. And I told you about that. It was like the Beast in Japan when they did that like Japanese special show. And it was Brock Lesnar versus Chris Jericho.
I think it was Kofi.
No. Or maybe it was Kofi. And Michael Cole, we knew that Vince McMahon wasn't there. And Michael Cole, I've got it on a hard drive somewhere. That's how much I wanted to make sure I had it, because I don't know if it's made it to the new version of the network. He was great that night. He was great without that crazy old man in his fucking ear. Adam Harris is dead on. Pat McAfee makes everything better. I'm a football fan. I have my Chicago Bear hat on. He made game day better. He's just one of those people.
Well, with Pat McAfee, I really enjoy his commentary. I do believe that as a person, he is very chaotic. Did you see the maneuvers he was pulling on that wheeled chair? Like, man, you're going to hurt yourself. I thought for sure he is. He is a controlled lunatic, and I do enjoy him a lot. And this is really hard for me to say, but I agree with you about Michael Cole. And I've never been a Michael Cole fan.
I hated him.
I've never been a Michael Cole fan. I've always wondered why he was able to hold his position as long as he has.
Same.
But obviously, it's because the entire WWE crew knew how good this man was. They just knew he was being stifled by Vince McMahon. Because, whether it be Vince McMahon in his ear screaming, or his list of words he couldn't use, or whatever it was, it's gone now, obviously, because Michael Cole is awesome. And I know that you're not a Corey Graves fan, but I am. I'm a big Corey Graves fan, and having Corey Graves and Pat McAfee and Michael Cole, this was the best commentary we've seen on a pay-per-view in a very, very, very long time.
And I think the Royal Rumble lends itself to having those two. You've almost got heel and babyface with Michael Cole in the middle, right? But yet neither one of them is really a perfect babyface or a perfect heel. They both kind of have things that are annoying, I think, to us. And that makes it feel more real. And sometimes McAfee is more likely to mark out, but also Corey Graves has that fan at heart, I think, as well. Sometimes he resorts to being a fan of somebody and not just as a work, I thought they were great on commentary too. I thought that 3-piece team worked really well.
It was fantastic, I believe. And one of the things that stand out, and of course we'll talk about the Women's Rumble here in just a little bit, but like, say when Piper Niven came out, they continuously put the dewdrop thing in there because they were not forced to insult our intelligence by saying that we don't remember the dewdrop thing.
Yeah.
They said it all without saying anything at all.
That's right.
And it was just really good. It was artistry all the way through by all three guys, and it was very enjoyable.
I was going to say they even kind of touched on the Bang Brothers thing, which I don't want to throw off
did.
the algorithm or anything, but they got around it perfectly.
They sure did.
Michael Cole said, "I used to be a subscriber." Do you remember that? So I was drinking last night.
I didn't hear him say that.
Michael Cole, hilarious. He said that, and on 2, maybe 3 occasions, he like referenced drinking and getting fucked up. Like, he said that twice, maybe a third time. I was like, these guys are having fun.
And McAfee was like, "That's because you're a booze bag, Cole."
And that makes it better for us. It's been so long since we've heard competent, consistent, good announcing that we're all just like a starving man with a cracker. Like, you know what I mean? It's been so long since I've eaten this cracker. It tastes great. But last night it made everything better. I hope they keep that up. I usually think 3-man. I want to know what you think, Adam and Brian. I think sometimes 3-man booths are clunky and it's hard to get out of each other's way. We're going to do it tonight, and we're not professional broadcasters. Adam, what do you like it when it's 3?
It's hard for me to say what I like, because I think it's more about the combination and what works and what doesn't. But I can say when there's 3 people out there and then they try to bring out a wrestler and make it 4 people, it's way too clunky. However, Corey Graves I really do like, and I have to say that I don't think Kevin Patrick is catching on, and so that 2-man team, I feel like it could use a third person, even though who that third person is very important. I don't think we need Byron Saxton back, no offense, right? I mean, I just don't think that was working either. So it's hard to say, man, and then the right guy, Joey Styles, doesn't need anybody. And I think he's got one of the greatest commentary records of all time. So, I mean, I don't think it has to do with 2 or 3. I think it's who.
Brian Resner is beaming that you brought up Joey Styles.
You make the hairs on my arm stand, Adam Harris. With
anytime I go back and I watch
Joey Styles,
it's almost like there's a hole there. Like, why did they mute the other guy? Because Joey Styles will let the action hang out. He will, but then when it's time to react, man, Joey's going to react fully, man. I think greatest and underrated commentator.
Definitely. And a lot of people say that Joey, had to be by himself. That Joey by himself was where the magic happened. But I really believe that if Joey would have had a good partner, we may have seen the most incredible duo ever. And I don't even know who that partner could have been. I mean, it could have been Mauro Ranallo.
He's great.
Those two would have flipped out at the same times. It would have been chaos. Who knows? But I will say this about the 3-man group: like when you say that team could use a third man because one of them's not carrying their weight. I believe that is the recipe. You have to have 3 people who can 100% carry their own weight. Because if one bad side to that triangle and it falls over, I really don't think that a 3-man team can only operate with absolute excellence. There cannot be a slacker on a 3-man team because he stands out too hard. And he brings down the other 2 in the group. So I would say I like 2-man teams. Exactly, Tony Schiavone. I like 2-man teams, but if you're going to throw a third one in there, he's got to be as good as the other 2 or better. It's the important part of the recipe to making that work.
So good. And now let's talk about the action that these
now that we've talked about the commentary.
You know what? I try to get us to talk about stuff that I know that not everyone else is going to harp on. And I've already kind of listened to a few different reviews, and no one's talked about how great Michael Cole is because it's like we remember how bad he was.
Yeah, because nobody wants to say it. Nobody wants to say it. They're afraid they're going to jinx the whole situation. That's why no one wants to talk about it.
It's true.
But we can go right into the Royal Rumble when the 2 came out, number 1 and number 2. You got Sheamus and Gunther. I did not think that Cody Rhodes was going to be much far behind. I figured we were going to see an early draw from Cody, and I figured Cody was going to be one of those long. I mean, I almost feel like if it would have been Cody and Gunther starting the event and ended with Cody and Gunther, it may have been even more magical than it was. But that's me thinking back to Shawn Michaels and Davey Boy Smith and hoping on a dream, I guess. But, it is what it is. The way that it worked out to have Gunther in there and then to have Cody in there 1 and 30, that was kind of a magic tale as well. But one thing that it made me realize is Sheamus and Gunther, hell of a matchup.
There's more to be done there somehow.
Oh, yeah.
They had match of the year, as you saw on our House of the Kayfabe review. That was one of the ones that we pointed out was Clash at the Castle between these guys. And I popped for number 1 and number 2, and I went so smart because they know guys like us marked out over that match. They know. And they're like, what better way could you start it out like, oh, guess what's going to happen now, you marks? They're going to slap the shit out of each other for the first 2 minutes of the match. I popped big time for it. And makes me think like, oh, there's still more to be done there. You know what I mean?
There were a few moments where Gunther came face to face with folks that it was like a teaser, like we're going to do this with Gunther, and then we're going to do this with Gunther. And yes, you're going to see the Beast and Gunther and all these different things they teased for an amazing year if we get to see all that.
So many Easter eggs just like that. That's one of the things I was going to bring up. I think the biggest pop, and I think that WWE is doing what AEW is doing, but of course better with feeding the dirts. Because I've now seen probably a month ago that Gunther and Brock Lesnar is being floated for WrestleMania. I think that they're working like that second layer of kayfabe and feeding dirt sheets like that. Because I saw
I was wondering.
Well, I saw two
I
or
w-
three different Easter eggs of, oh, I read that 2 months ago that it was going to be Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania.
Well, some of that to go with exactly what you're saying. I wondered if the Rock thing was a work. I wondered if maybe they were putting that out there so they could surprise you with the Rock. I also seen
They're
where
still putting it out there.
WWE.
Mhm.
Well, I also seen where WWE had talked about things that could happen at the Rumble, and one of those things was Dark Oscar. Now, in the WWE world, we don't know anything about Dark Oscar. No. The only way that you would know about Dark Oscar is if you followed Oscar from before the WWE. And normally we never see anything like that referenced to. You don't see a reference to, oh, will they act the way they were when they worked in a different company? That's new. That's something new. And it kind of stood out to me when they put it out there because I was like, Dark Oscar? Why would they even put this on here if it's not a possibility or something they've been floating? And obviously they had been floating it because we seen Dark Oscar. And that's little things like that you don't expect from the WWE, and I don't think that there's anything that would really make you start expecting that from the WWE. It's kind of a weird world that we're in right now.
I think it's great. I think they're doing everything they're doing right. God, I'm going to sound like such a fucking WWE nerd. Everything they're doing right now is fucking. Well, I mean, there is now, the female Rumble.
I was gonna say let's not go crazy because they do still have a show called NXT that's unwatchable.
Oh, it's so unwatchable. Well, man, when Gunther came out, because I'm a big Gunther mark. Well, I mean, I'm a Walter mark. I have 5 cards, and one of them is an autographed Walter card that actually Adam was there in my ear going, "Do it! It's only $25. You must buy this card." when he came out first, I knew he wasn't going to win. I think he's not ready to do anything that big yet. Intercontinental's perfect. I thought they're going to give him an epic run. And I think that he has now the record for the longest time in the Royal Rumble. I think going back to what you said before, Rez.
I think Rhea Ripley also beat that record.
Yeah, I think so. Because theirs was like 54 minutes. I think the men's was maybe an hour and 13. Don't quote me on that. I think what you were talking about with Cody, and that's you booking with your heart, because Brian books with his heart. Remember, Cody Rhodes just had his fucking pec fall off. He hasn't had a match. He probably didn't.
Great point. Yeah, that's a great point. He
probably didn't have the win to go 60. Of course, obviously, Cody Rhodes would try to, but I mean, he didn't have the win for it. I think that
you're absolutely right about
30th. That. He came in 30th. That was perfect. This man hasn't had a match.
Agree. I would agree with you. I get it. Circumstances have it that we can't have that magical moment, but man, how amazing would it be if it would have been Gunther and Cody, and then at the end it would have been Gunther and Cody would have still won, but Gunther would really have a stake in that title once Cody won it. And you could see it would be the evolution of an Intercontinental Champion to a World Champion. It could have been a beautiful story. I get why they didn't do it, and at least 30-1. It's a really good excuse for Gunther and a really amazing night for Cody Rhodes, who we've seen go all the way to the end and stay there when the dust cleared. And a lot of people, I know a lot of people were thinking Seth Rollins. I know a lot of the people in the room that I was in thought Seth Rollins was going to win that.
Interesting. Thing. Okay. All right.
I had more than one people at my Royal Rumble party that said Big E was going to return and he was going to win the Rumble.
Oh, he's not close to being cleared. That's silly.
Right. That, there was a lot of people had a lot of hope, and a lot of people were still talking about The Rock. So you never know. You never know what anybody's going to pick. But I think, like you said, Vegas was strongly behind Cody Rhodes, and so was I. It just made sense. If The Rock didn't show up, it totally made sense. If The Rock would have showed up, all bets are off.
Man, there's going to be, once we get into the main event, there's and the aftermath, there's something looming over Cody Rhodes right now. He's got an SZ problem, and I don't want to go too far ahead of us.
Can I ask you guys a question before we get off of this? Because talking about Cody at number 30, like everybody knew he was coming back. And another cool thing Cole did, which he never did, but he said, I don't think anyone has ever been number 1 versus number 30 in the last 2 guys. And first of all, the fact that he acknowledged not knowing means that normally that would be right in his ear. Like, oh my God, this is the first time ever we've had this, which was a weird detail for him to actually acknowledge he didn't know if it was the first time or not. But did you guys think that Cody would be number 30, like specifically? Like, did you see that coming? Like, it makes sense that he wasn't going to have a long run in the match. But it was kind of like just so an obvious way to it was like you knew who it was going to be when the time number 30 came around.
Yeah, well, I didn't expect it. Like I said, I was expecting him to pick like 3 or 2 or something that would put it stack the deck against him, because that's how Cody likes to perform.
Faith in Cody's recovery.
Yeah, well, I did,
and his endurance.
Well, Cody always likes to be in the angle where the deck's stacked. And
it's a story he can totally tell. Yeah, absolutely.
It's Dusty Sun.
Yeah,
for sure.
He likes to have the deck stacked, and that's a great way to have the deck stacked. So I wasn't expecting 30 at all, but I am kind of shocked that they waited until the surprise would be ruined for at least 2 minutes.
Well, here's the thing that I like the most about the Royal Rumble, and I absolutely hate what do you call them when they're not Royal Rumbles?
Battle Royals.
Battle Royals. I fucking hate Battle Royals. I think they're a pox on all of our houses. This is the only time that it's interesting. What they had not done for a while in the Royal Rumble, and what the Rumble has always been, is a way to keep multiple angles going. What we saw tonight, we had the Banger Bros, against whoever, but specifically we also had Edge coming back and dealing with the Judgment Day. Obviously Logan and Ricochet is going to do something. That's something there. Gunther versus Sheamus, right? We all want to see it again. That's what the Royal Rumble was supposed to be, was a chance to get all of these other angles moved along and not just like a rando battle royal. And something else, Adam, we all watch as old marks. We watch for the feels, and there's been times where we've had 4, 5, 6, 7 legends, quote unquote legends, come back, and we had one. I think it is a testament to just how deep the roster is. They don't have time for the Iron Sheik to come out or whoever.
And speaking of getting in your feels, man, I got in my feels when I seen that Booker T can barely move.
Hey, dude, yeah. I mean, he's old. Booker T was
still
old
do the
in the WWE, of course.
Still could do the spinneroonie, but
you talk about muscle memory. Like, he'll be able to do that on the grave. Like before, he's like, "Okay, guys, it's time for me. One more time." Whoa, and he does it.
The moves were very eased. And I do have a complaint about Gunther, and I know you don't want to hear a complaint.
No, I won't. I'm just scared.
Kick him out of the meeting. Just don't.
So the complaint I have about Gunther is Gunther could not take a clothesline facing forward. Every single time that he took a clothesline to go over that top rope, he turned his back to his person and went overhead, the face forward instead of going backwards over the rope.
That's what Steve New was talking about.
And I don't know why. I couldn't figure it out. But I mean, he took like 3 clotheslines.
That's just how they do it in Europe.
But he took him to the back of the head. It seemed like he was nervous about going over the top rope from a clothesline.
Well, if you ever get the chance to bring that up with him, Brian, I hope you do. Just be like, that time you went 116 minutes in the Rumble?
I'm so glad.
Adam Harris, you can bet your sweet ass. If I ever talk to Gunther, I will bring it up and say, sir, why did you not take that clothesline 3 times? You turned around and took it to the back of the head, and it didn't make sense.
Lesnar and Gunther face to face.
Oh, my God.
So I would ask him.
What did you all think about Dominic and the Judgment Day? I mean, Edge was a surprise.
You know what? I've been gone for so long. You guys have been rolling. You guys have been rolling without me for so long that I have to make another public apology. This public apology is about Dominic, because since Dominic went to prison and served hard time, I am a huge Dominic fan. No, actually, it has nothing to do with his prison term, but it does have to do with this new character. The only way that it could get any better is if he denounced the Mysterio name and picked up the Guerrero name. If he would do that, he would set this thing on fire. And
Oh,
and I think that Dominic is doing exceptionally well. I am officially a Dominic Mysterio fan.
Go
And
ahead,
I know that's crazy, but I am.
Oh, I feel the same way, man. I mean, that was brutal watching him try to get over as a baby face, you know, and then this Rhea Ripley thing. She's at the top of her game. She has elevated him somehow, done the impossible, I think, and is making this work, you know, like is making it work, you know. The whole
She's even making Finn Balor and Damian more interesting. Like the whole thing, you can see, you know, if I was in a writer's chair, I think that I would try my damnedest to put Rhea Ripley as the leader of this faction. First.
I think they are. Yeah, I think
she still stands in the background to Finn, but Finn is just not the leader there. Really, this should have never. We should have never seen Edge get booted out of this group, and Edge should be the leader of this group right now. However, the group I didn't think was going to be able to do anything, but Rhea Ripley has saved the whole thing.
Here's the thing about Finn is he's kind of the Daniel Bryan right now, pre the Yes Movement. We all know that he's a fucking match machine. We all know that Finn can wrestle as good as anyone in the fucking world, but he does not have the character. He does not have the gimmick. And Daniel Bryan was that guy. He was the guy that came out in maroon, and then he went to Team Hell No, and they went to therapy, and we saw that Daniel Bryan had a fucking personality. Finn's just terrible on the mic, and he can't be the leader of a faction if you're not good on the mic. Punishment Martinez is way better on the mic than Finn, right?
I think Finn actually showed some personality during this as the kind of skimpier shit heel, you know, and he was hamming everything up too. It was almost like, see how badass we are, see how rotten we are right now, you know, when they eliminated Edge. He was hamming it up to the crowd, you know, being like, yeah, you know, so, you know, look at us, you know, look what we just did.
Fair enough.
And so I actually saw a little bit of shine in that department from Finn during this.
Well, what you just said, I mean, you referred to him as Punishment Martinez, but Damian Priest,
you
say he's so much better on the microphone than Finn. And I don't know about that. I mean, he's not really. I mean,
he's got a better voice. I like his voice. His voice, you take him seriously. He sounds like a male, you know.
This motherfucker might kill somebody.
He's got a big, deep voice, but a big, deep voice only takes you so far when there's no substance of what you're saying. And that's the problem with the whole group. The only person that has substance when they're speaking is Rhea Ripley.
Everybody knows it. Somebody said during the Rumble, I think he said, "Oh, that's why he's the voice of the Judgment Day" or something like that. And Cole goes, "Rhea Ripley's in the next Rumble."
He did say that. Oh, it's so good.
Again, booking for the marks, but yeah.
Another back pat for the commentary team. Yep. So when we come out of this, we've got Cody Rhodes as our 2023 Royal Rumble winner. He will be challenging for the championship at WrestleMania. And then we go into the next match. Adam Harris, you want to take us there?
Well, I mean, we kind of overlooked the whole Logan Paul thing. I don't know.
I was about to say we're not ready. I'm not ready to move on from the Rumble. When Logan Paul came out, so I have a 12-year-old that is dipping her toe in the waters of wrestling, and I'm telling you, it is only going to get quenched if Logan Paul's part of it. And I know there's a lot. She can't be the only one. And when Logan Paul came out, and I was with you, and I went to the Vegas odds, and yes, obviously Cody Rhodes is going to win this. But I thought, man, it's in Los Angeles. Would they? And the only person I thought maybe who would have had a chance to fucking win the thing was Logan Paul. And as someone who has children of age that is very influenced by the YouTubes, I am not a big fan of Logan Paul in that arena. But he's badass. That thing that him and Ricochet did, man, we've been watching wrestling a long time. I don't think I've ever seen that shit before.
Yeah,
no, I definitely have never seen that before. And one thing I will say to go along with what you're talking about with Logan Paul is there were quite a few children at the Royal Rumble party that I was attending, and those children did not care about the Royal Rumble at all from start to finish. But the only time that all of the children were paying attention was when Logan Paul came out, and they stayed with it until Logan Paul was eliminated. And Logan Paul being eliminated was like pretty much like rolling the credits for them. They were out.
Same
as
thing.
soon as he was out, they were out. And it really kind of showed me that Logan Paul, even though some of us may not want him around, and I still am undecided on whether I want him around or not, but I will say that I have to appreciate it because he is bringing eyes to professional wrestling.
And
eyes that wouldn't normally be there.
And also performing at the highest level that we've ever seen a non-wrestler. And, you know, we've seen a lot of non-wrestlers from Lawrence Taylor to whoever the fuck else.
So The Miz.
Yeah, he's not a wrestler either. So
he is now.
I don't know about that. But Logan Paul not only is bringing the subs to WWE, his buckshot lariat is fucking way better than Homeboy's. And the shit he's able to do, like he's a legitimate boxer. He's a legitimate athlete, whatever your opinion of him is. And he's bringing these kids and also doing dynamite shit. And he was the only person that I had just a shade of an inkling that might have won the Royal Rumble besides Cody Rhodes.
Yeah, and it would have been a story, too, because he had a great match with Roman. And if he had won the Royal Rumble, A, it's at the headlines of every news organization across the country. And B, rematch. You know, he's going to have a rematch at WrestleMania. I agree, wasn't the right place to go, but you could totally see it as a possibility. Mm-hmm. And did you guys see the official announcement from President Biden's office today? That it is official that the buckshot lariat belongs now to Logan Paul.
It does. Like he looks like he looks like a badass. Homeboy don't look like a badass. Fuck that guy. I run a farm. There's no butterfly fucking pants around here. These parts, you fucking pansy.
The sensitive millennial cowboy.
Fuck that guy. He sucks.
Not your move anymore.
Yeah, fuck that whole fucking organization. So,
but again, you know, they gave us the moment. It was viral. It is viral, you know, and they still get on a lot of news outlets with that spot. And I just wrote on my paper spot and underlined it. You know, like I didn't have to say anything else.
And that would be an angle. Who else could he have like some sort of high flying lucha fucking match with? Then Ricochet at WrestleMania, which is what Royal Rumble is supposed to do. Not just give us the main event of WrestleMania, it gives us all the other storylines. Like you said, when you saw Sheamus and Sheamus or Walter and Sheamus fucking chest up, you wanted it again. Like, if you would have tuned in and not known it was Royal Rumble, you're like, oh, this is the rematch I've been waiting on.
Right. Well, I'll say one thing that, I can't believe I was ready to skip over the Royal Rumble. We didn't even talk about Brock Lesnar. Mm-hmm. And Brock Lesnar showing up in the Rumble definitely set the pace for Bobby Lashley versus Brock Lesnar, which we will definitely see at WrestleMania this year, even though we should have seen it at like 4 WrestleManias ago.
In a row.
Maybe even farther back.
Yeah, you've been saying that the entirety of this podcast. You've been saying that they dropped the ball with Lesnar and Lashley.
And they've dropped the ball time and time again, and it's almost too late. But it's not too late. And we're going to see it at WrestleMania, and I'm excited about that. So that's one thing that we did get out of the Royal Rumble was we are going to see Brock and we are going to see Bobby Lashley. And we may see Logan Paul and Ricochet. I'm okay with that too.
Dude, I think there are so many good places to go. Logan Paul and Ricochet is obvious. But if you guys, I made a note because friggin' Cody eliminated Logan Paul. First of all, the guy who wanted eliminated him, so that puts him over in a certain degree. But I feel like Cody, who did all this stuff with the celebrities in AEW, he could have a great match with Logan Paul.
Cody Rhodes can have a great match with my microphone.
All you have to do is say that's who eliminated me, you know. And so I think they'll get to the Ricochet thing. It's a question for me is like, who does Cody Rhodes go to now? And we're gonna have to do some fantasy booking, I hope, before we wrap this up. But what happens between now, Elimination Chamber, and Mania? You know, we've got to keep everybody interested.
And we can't have that conversation until we talk about the main event of the Royal Rumble. So it's good for us to get to match number 2. Take it away.
All right, we'll see. I'm still on all these notes from that. Oh, match number 2. The match we were all been waiting for. First of all, thanks to Applebee's for giving us the first Royal Rumble match of the evening, and the second match was brought to us by AEW, not AEW,
A&W root beer.
about Mountain Dew Pitch Black.
Uh,
Oh man,
Stop
hey,
it.
I did say I made a note of a couple things that were just short enough. Booker T's performance in the Royal Rumble, just short enough. And I think this match was actually just short enough. I think it was exactly what it needed to be.
Visually, I will say, first of all, LA Knight, great job picking tights. I mean, the tights were perfect. What he wore was perfect for the match that he was in. Bray Wyatt, amazing black light makeup.
Mhm.
Like, he looked fantastic. It was great. Now, putting something that's very visual in the dark might not have been the best idea. The entire time I was watching, it kind of felt like it was missing something, like I was missing something, and I was, because it was dark. But I think you hit the nail on the head when you said this is just short enough.
Did anyone see the meme where the guy took a picture of who was at the Royal Rumble, took a picture of his neighbor who was complaining about not being able to actually see the match? So homeboy is on the Peacock on his phone watching the match, and it's right there. They're on the first riser. They're not on the floor. They're on that first riser.
Wow.
The ring's like right there in the picture. So the people who were there couldn't even fucking see the match. Why do they keep doing this? I root so hard because I think Bray Wyatt is a captivating wordsmith. He's a good actor. This guy could be in any like horror movie, M. Night Shyamalan. He's great, but man, fucking why did they do that to Eli Drake? And I don't care when you use all these people's names, what they should be. So fuck off. Comment section.
I will not correct you on Eli Drake, because that should totally be his name.
LA Knight sucks, man. That's a fucking terrible name. But he's
it wasn't a great name.
He's doing as good with this as he. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I was going to say it wasn't a great name when it was a tennis shoe. So
yeah, it's true. But man, Brian, I know you're big on Eli Drake. He's doing as well as he can with this horse shit.
He really is. And I mean, it's a lot better of a situation. I think that's really the thing, is like they brought him in from being Eli Drake into LA Knight, and we were like, oh, this is terrible. And then they were like, oh yeah, well, let's make him the manager of some male models. Will that make you happy? And we're like, fuck no, don't do that to us. Don't make him a manager of some male models. That would be the worst thing you could do. And they're like, oh, well, we're gonna do it. And then they're like, okay, now we're back at LA Knight. Are you happy now? And we're like, yes. We'll just LA Knight. We got it.
So they had to fuck with us that way to get us to be okay with LA Knight.
Yeah, they had to give him an even worse gimmick and an even worse name for us to appreciate LA Knight.
All right. Well, I want to take a couple minutes here and try to put this match over, because I have a habit of putting down the Bray Wyatt thing. I buried him on our Raw 30 episode as politely as I could bury something. But I gotta say, and coming out of this, I wrote a couple things down. And first of all, I thought, who sings this song and why are they screaming? The Bray Wyatt song. Like, God, it's awful.
It's awful. As a drummer, the first 4 measures of that thing, that drum beat is dope as shit, and it's actually going to end up on my channel, my YouTube channel.
Bray walks out looking like what I said.
Terrible. It's killing. It's a gimmick.
Awesome.
It's gimmick killing. It's so bad.
Yeah, so I'll agree with that. Hey, Bray comes out holding the lamp, and he looks like a misfit Beetlejuice, is what I wrote down. Like a member of the Misfits. If Beetlejuice was a member of the Misfits, like the band, the pain on the face, but after the gig, like not before the gig, after they've sweated and everything, it's like looks like shitty, sweaty Misfit Beetlejuice. And then they said, "Are we going to see the real Bray Wyatt?" And I'm like, "Well, is this the real Bray Wyatt, or is it just a great paint job?" Because he glow in the dark. I did think about the audience that was there. Like on TV, it looks differently, looks captivating. And that I think is the best part of this. And I'll get to that. But it had to suck for those people, 55,000 people in the San Antonio Stadium. It could not have been a great experience for them, even if it's up on
actually 51,338.
I thought when they were announcing that, they were like, ladies and gentlemen, The number of glowing pellets at ringside, 51,331.
Who put those pellets there? And you know what? The announcers even, I think, said something like, who put those there? You know what I mean? They're not insulting our intelligence anymore.
They're aware. Yeah, they're aware. But I will say, look, it's something different. Of course, people are going to hate it. Right? I mean, if you can think back to music, movies, stuff that's looked back on now is like, oh, that was innovative. People hated that shit when it first happened. And we're going to look back on this and be like, you know what? Bray Wyatt was trying to do something really creative. WWE did something really different. And I crapped on the AJ Styles Undertaker match immediately. I thought this is crap. Same with the Bray Wyatt Cena match, crap. But it's actually, first of all, better than what they would have done if you'd have had a bell-to-bell, no disqualification, match or whatever. It's better than that. It's actually more engaging, makes both guys look as strong as they could look. LA Knight notwithstanding. And so I actually think this is pretty creative. People shouldn't hate it initially, and it was better than what we could have got. If they'd have just bright the lights up, on a normal ass Bray Wyatt, would that have been interesting? And we still have the Uncle Howdy story to be told, I guess.
Well, and I know what you're saying because I shit on the Bray Wyatt Firehouse Funhouse thing, and it turned out to be pretty entertaining. I ended up liking it, so I'm kind of hesitant to shit all over Uncle Howdy, but man, it's hard not to. It's really, I'm not into it. I don't dig the face. I don't understand the story. Maybe when I do understand the story, I will like it. I'm staying hopeful, but I just don't know about the Uncle Howdy thing, and I think the name's kind of dumb in itself. It makes me think of Captain Howdy for anybody who watched Strangeland with D. Snyder. Anyone watch that?
No,
not of this.
No one's ever watched Strange. Okay, so Strangeland. You guys definitely need to watch it. D. Snyder from Twisted Sister is the main character, and half of his body is tattooed, and half of his body is pierced, and he tortures people. It's a great underground horror movie that everyone should watch at least once.
That guy's been typecast his whole life.
But his name in the movie was Captain Howdy.
Now, do you think that he would have been able to actually hit LA Knight if D. Snyder did that jump? Because whoever that is missed fucking LA Knight by a fucking mile.
Oh, man. No doubt. D. Snyder would have nailed it.
I say, sure. I thought at first, and I've come around to this, I originally thought like this is the worst of the cinematic and the supernatural. You know what I mean? Like this is the worst of both worlds. But I will say when I finally got it when the Ken Glow stick came out.
See what I did there? Ken Glow stick. I really hated that.
It's a nightclub match is what they should have called it. It's a nightclub match.
I have some foam. Should I have a foam party too? Yeah,
should have been a foam party, a bubble party.
It was a thing that happened. Let's move on.
I got one more question. I got one question though before we move on from this match. Does Uncle Howdy have the same type of magical powers that Kane has? That when he drops an elbow on the ground instead of his opponent, fire shoots from the floor? Because that's what happens.
Supernatural again, man. Again, yeah. The fire blew up there. I actually thought, I thought this was the reveal of Shane McMahon as Uncle Howdy. He climbed up there, and
that killed me last night. It
was like the whoom, the elbow out of nowhere. I knocked the Dingo Warrior almost fell over. I thought that's what it was. Shane McMahon.
I really hope that this leads to LA Knight being far away from Bray Wyatt. Because I don't think that he needs to be in that role because he's over like that. I mean, he's got an entire crowd of people going, yeah. So he's working. There's no reason to feed him to Bray anymore. You need to take Bray and go in a different direction. So we will see what happens with that in the future. But Bray Wyatt gets the victory here at Royal Rumble, and then we go into the next match.
Is this for the women's title, right?
This is
coming up on the 10 o'clock hour. Alexa Bliss makes her entrance to face Bianca Belair. Again, we get more Uncle Howdy after this, where Alexa Bliss tries to say, I'm in charge. And he says, do you feel in charge? And like this, do you guys think this is the second biggest storyline in WWE right now? Like,
I hope not.
I was gonna say, I sure as fuck hope not.
well, but it's across two angles. You know, you've got the Women's World Championship involved, and then you've got Uncle Howdy and Bray against LA Knight in the Mountain Dew match.
I kind of feel like they're making. I guess the term would be trying to make fetch happen. Alexa Bliss doesn't work in this angle. It doesn't work. We want Alexa Bliss to be the snotty, bitchy blonde chick. That's what we want.
Okay.
And to throw her back into this Bray Wyatt storyline, I think is just a waste. It's not good for Bray. It's not good for Alexa. It's not good for us.
Is it good for Bianca? That's what I wrote down was like, does this help Bianca at all?
No.
The clean win.
I mean,
it feels like she's secondary to the whole thing.
I just really don't care about that.
I don't like burying the champions like that. You know what I mean? Like, I just don't like.
I really don't like it when the women's champions not named Charlotte and Flair. Like, if I don't have Charlotte and Flair, you know,
there's a few other names that I like in that position too. Not just Charlotte. I love Charlotte Flair.
Oh, and she is the other champion. She wasn't on the show tonight. She was not even on the show.
Yeah, are we still talking about this match? No, we all knew what was going to happen. Maybe Alexa Bliss is creepy. Who gives a shit?
Bianca Belair gets the clean victory at Royal Rumble, keeping her championship. Alexa Bliss is now having a mental health crisis with her Uncle Howdy. Next match on the docket tonight would be
Rhea Ripley entering at number 1 for the Women's Royal Rumble match. She was still selling the spear from Beth Phoenix, which is another cool part about her going the distance. You know, she had that encounter during the Men's Royal Rumble match. And didn't she like spear Edge on his way back to the thing when he was eliminated? There was like, she took out Edge, man. And then I did love the Beth Phoenix thing. I love badass Beth Phoenix, and I love the hair, you know, like that helmet hair is awesome. I think she looks like a badass.
I feel like she had to have had a classic can of Aquanet for that.
Totally. Yeah. No. Definitely. Sorry, ozone layer, but we've got to do this hair job right here. But she didn't come out in the Rumble. Like, what the hell was that?
I
expected her in the Rumble.
She could have done a spin-a-rooney and got out of there. You know what I mean? Like, do a couple moves and then get a surprise elimination. It doesn't matter, especially from Rhea. Like it would have made a lot of sense to eliminate Rhea. So anyway, it was Rhea and Liv to start this thing off. And you mentioned this storyline, but it ended up being those two at the end, Brian. So that's, again, another reason they might not have done the Cody at number 1, Walter at number 2 thing.
Well, the only problem with that is nobody gave a shit. I didn't even realize that until you just said it. And I'm a huge wrestling fan because it didn't matter. It didn't matter what Liv was doing.
Who cares, dude? This thing was flat. It was so flat. It got going. It got some shine towards the end, but man, the men's Rumble was so great. And then I think that the crowd got, hell, as far as we know, the crowd couldn't even see the second match. The third match was just a throwaway Raw match.
Can you imagine sitting in the dark for like 25 minutes only for the lights to be turned on so you can watch Alexa Bliss and Bianca Belair?
Yeah, man, that's not good. This thing
took the wind out of everyone.
They gave 2 bathroom breaks.
Yeah, this thing's set list needed some work. Okay, so my wife is going to make a run in. My wife, she tolerates my wrestling habit. God love her. And she looked at me during probably halfway through the match. And she said, or she asked me, is this supposed to be for me? And I said, what do you mean, honey? And she said, this is just fetish shit, right? I was like, you know what, baby, you're not wrong. And then I went and I tried to just tell her that, no, there are some stars here. There's about 4 or 5 in the middle of these 30 women that are stars. And here's the problem. And this will take a strange turn. I noticed so many small little women in this match that I decided to measure my 12-year-old because we hadn't measured her in a while. And she's 5
Come here. How tall are you?
Well, She's 5'2.5", and she, as a 12-year-old, is the same size or a few inches taller and shorter than half the match.
Damn.
Half
Interesting.
the match is
I have
women
never
who are
once
5'1",
tried that.
5'2", 5'3". Fucking Alexa Bliss is 5'1". She's taller than her. All of the Asian ladies, I think there was some Japanese and there's at least one Chinese. She's taller than all of them. She's taller than the Poison Pixie, I'm pretty sure. Like, man, look, I am not a hater of female wrestling. I think that there are some great names, but you don't need 30. I know we're trying to be equal in this world, but you could have got away with 20 and it would have been better. When you saw the Poison Pixie, when you saw all of these NXT girls that only Adam will know and Derek, they were just fodder. It's bullshit. Bailey is a national treasure. Rhea Ripley is an international treasure.
So first, my takeaway from what
Nia Jax was there.
You know, well, my takeaway from what you're saying is, first of all, I've never tried measuring my children to get out of a boring match. So I'm going to try that the next time that I run into a match I don't like. I'm just going to start
you're teaching them math and
well, I wanted to see
practical skills.
I wanted to see how many of these workers my 12-year-old could dust, and I think she's got a chance at a few of them.
I will say this: I think that if I'm writing a women's Royal Rumble match, now of course I'm not going to break it down to 20 because it just wouldn't make sense. Because you got 30 man, you got to have a 30 woman.
No, you
but
don't.
when I'm
Who
picking,
says that?
Just the way
equality.
the world works, equality says that.
I don't
So
care.
but listen, if you got 30 women, and you know the women's match is not going to be on the same level as the men's match, then you have to make up for it with what you have. And what you have is the ability to call a ton of legends. This should have been 20 of all the females that everyone knows that wrestle on a regular basis. And there should have been 10. We should have seen Trish Stratus, Lita, Victoria. I mean, we should have brought out an array of legends like Beth Phoenix, and that should have been the shock factor of the Women's Rumble, and it would have made it a whole lot better, even if the match wouldn't have been better.
I don't agree. No, I don't agree with that, man. I have to disagree just because I think that's what we got last year. Like, I think Kelly was in the Rumble last year.
She was.
And I cheered her all
Wilson.
The way down.
Yeah. Tori Wilson, whatever, you know.
Yes.
And Molly Holly, who I would have done. Molly Holly, the Bellas, like whatever. But it doesn't, to me, this is much better because we actually did get some NXT call-ups, which we did not get in the Men's Rumble, which I was expecting. I thought we were going to get a Grayson Waller, maybe even a Braun Breaker. None of that.
Really?
That's a good point.
Oh,
That's
you
a
know.
good point. That's a good point.
They
Braun
did
Breaker,
it a couple years ago.
My thoughts on that is if you want to get called up to the main show, your show can't suck. Your show is terrible. I don't care if you are a Steiner brother. Your show sucks. Everything you do sucks. Everything that is going on NXT sucks, and they know it. They know that no one is watching that show. The women that got called up were called up as filler because they had nothing else. The men didn't have a chance of getting called up because their show is fucking terrible.
Well, yeah, you're right. You're right about that for sure. But I still think it's better for the brand if you have some young talent who make their debuts. You've got to put the NXT Women's Champion in there.
Give me a broken Booker T any day of the week.
No, I don't agree.
Not
if we did that last year. If we had not done that last year,
Tuesday night,
I think I'd have rather
seen Molly Holly last year. You know, it's like okay, I can swallow that, but you can't give a young talent a spot. You know, when there's 30 women
me awake on a Tuesday night. You can't keep me awake to watch wrestling on a Tuesday night. No, I can't pat anybody on the back over there.
Here's the reason, and here's the reason why they only need fucking 20 is when a fucking WNBA plays. Do you think they play 60 minutes? No, they play fucking 40, and we all fucking agree that you don't have to be equal. There were
That's
20
interesting.
women.
I didn't know that.
There were 12. Of course, it's always like that. Girls softball, women's softball games don't go 9 innings in the fucking Olympics. It's
Really?
okay. It's fine.
See, I didn't know any of that. 'Cause
We're
I've never
different.
watched any of those
Hey, you know what?
sports.
There's not even an NFL with women in it. It's okay. We're fine. There were 15 women that I didn't know who the fuck they were, except for when Adam talks about getting their cards. Like,
Yeah.
who are these people? It
Which is
did
a good
not
segue
matter.
because I have a out of 25 Zoe Stark.
Dude, Adam Harris had
And,
every woman in that match last night in card form.
Man,
Look,
Zoe Stark was awesome though.
Well,
I will
right, she
say,
kicks ass, and they
she
put her
really
over.
Showed
See,
herself. Yeah.
Which
Give her
one
the
was
spotlight
that?
And she'll rise to it. For
which
sure.
one was that?
Well, so she's built blondish hair. This is
She
another
was
interesting
wearing
one.
red. She was wearing like a maroonish red
I
outfit.
think it was, yeah, probably. She was number 13, I think, and it was weird too because somebody said, "Well, Cole or Pat or whatever," he said. Zoe Stark is actually one of her biggest fans is Shawn Michaels from the NXT brand, and he responded by saying, "Well, at least Shawn is a fan of someone." And I was like, "Where's that come from? What is that?"
Well,
Somebody just threw a little shade right there.
I'm not sure why that shade was thrown, but I will tell you that all of the hatred that I have for the NXT brand right now in that television show, I unfortunately have no one to blame but Shawn Michaels.
Ouch.
Shawn Michaels is in charge of that brand, and he is really not showing up for work or something. You're phoning it in, Shawn, and you really should be putting out better television. And if it's not Shawn and Triple H is at the helm of creative for all 3 shows, then Triple H, man, you're doing so well everywhere else. You might want to pass this one off to somebody because you're really failing at NXT. And NXT, I feel like, has to be better.
He could only do so much. Now, let's not just trash this whole thing. Let's talk about the real stars, the actual people who people give a fucking shit about. Sasha, Becky, and
New Japan star Sasha.
Yes, with the run-in.
Oh shit.
Yeah, man, I wish Sasha Banks was still here. But man, Becky and Bailey, which is probably the number 2 angle, I guess, in the female division. They continued their blood feud. We're going to see something very good out of them if at WrestleMania, right? Rhea Ripley is the future of this fucking whole thing. You know, we knew Bailey, Becky, Rhea Ripley, Raquel Rodriguez, and dude, hey, Doudrop. I could believe Doudrop, Piper Nevin. There you go, right
She
there.
got her
in
name
card
back.
form. Right there in card form. I believe her, and also know that she's not going to send everybody to the ambulance, which also brings me to Nia Jax. So if they could do something right with Nia Jax, I mean, she's fucking Samoan. She's as big as a house. She's obviously going to kill people like Liv Morgan, who's shorter than my 12-year-old. Like, if they do this right, they've got some real women that you can believe and get behind Charlotte and the EST. You know, Rhea Ripley, we have to see Rhea Ripley and Charlotte at WrestleMania. You all are, I know that you are such Finn Balor fans, but look, the Judgment Day fucking sucks. Let's be honest. It's fucking terrible. The only thing that's good about it is I guess Condom is okay, but Rhea Ripley is the fucking only thing that's great about that. Rhea Ripley needs to be wrestling Charlotte in a 5-star classic. So there was 25 women there to get 5 over is what it looked like to me.
You know,
and it also looked like a hair dye commercial.
It's funny that you're talking about Nia Jax. I was talking to my wife. My wife was looking at Raquel Gonzalez or
Rodriguez.
Sorry, I got her name wrong all the time.
So
she's amazing.
Is it Rodriguez or Gonzalez? Who
now
made
it's Rodriguez.
Snafu?
Yeah,
it is Rodriguez.
Rodriguez. Yeah.
It was
she looks like a
Gonzalez?
I think so. Yeah, Raquel G.
Okay, so Raquel was in the ring. My wife asked me, like, "Oh, is this the new Nia? Is she?" Because she was huge and she was towering over everybody and throwing people around. And I was like, "Well, I really, really hope not." Because I think that if anyone's in that role, they should be related to The Rock. Because man, I wish Raquel would go home. I
What?
think she's
She's
terrible.
No.
Oh, come on,
man, I'm gonna be
dude.
I
Adam Harris
cannot
on
get
this.
behind it.
I think
Can't get
I
behind
believe her. I believe her.
I
She
believe
looks
her
like a
too. I think
badass.
she's legit.
She's legit, man. I
She
think
does
you
the
need to
back
stick
pose
around
like that with her back to the camera.
You need to wait.
Beastly.
You need
Love
to wait
it.
on that, B-Rez.
Yeah.
I think you may need to wait.
Yeah,
Maybe I need to wait, but I'm not into the Raquel Rodriguez.
I thought this made her look
thing.
strong. It was one of my favorite parts of the women's rumble was how strong they made Raquel.
I
look.
really enjoyed Nia Jax coming back. I enjoyed them jumping her back in, and I really hope it's not a one-off. I hope Nia Jax is back for good. Even though she does hurt people, she makes the women's division exciting. I think that you can do. I really hope this time they give her the bonsai drop because it looks like she's gained
almost
about
did it.
50 pounds.
No. Piper Nevin almost did it. Piper
Yeah, I
Nevin
think
was setting
Piper
up
does,
to do
yeah,
it.
yeah.
And
No,
She does like a
Piper
Vader
Nevin-
splash type
Yeah,
deal.
Piper Nevin's doing the V bomb. I'm talking
yeah, there you
about I'm talking about the bonsai drop, the Yokozuna bonsai drop.
Oh, just setting on
Nia
him.
Jax. Nia Jax should be doing that move in a tribute to her uncle. That's the way it should be. I really believe.
I think they did. These were a couple Easter eggs that Steve was saying, but she did a couple. What I would call like Andre the Giant spots. You know, there was kind of like a thing where she ducked and did a couple clotheslines, and then they all piled around her, right? And it was like, and she threw them all off like that. You know, and I like that as a throwback. I popped for that, even though I wasn't excited to see Nia Jax either. But I kind of liked that. Again, another Easter egg that they kind of threw in there. I was like, okay, I still like that, you know.
She can be booked well. I mean, look
she
at her.
could be booked well, absolutely. She's got a lot of personality. I think she's got a lot of personality.
Man,
I just
her
hope
Twitter-
that she can be careful.
Her Twitter since she was released has been spicy. She's got spunk. You know what I mean? Like
I believe that
I believe
her and Alexa Bliss's storyline made Nia Jax for me.
Mhm.
I loved that storyline, and I think that revisiting that storyline is how you bring back Alexa Bliss. If you didn't want to take her down the road that you already know she can't perform on, but whatever.
What did you think about Bailey Bresner in this? Because I thought
I
it was
love
a strong show. Me too. And I actually thought she had a shot at winning it. I thought putting it Bailey could have been a legitimate winner to this, and all the TV time. Which Barker, if you don't like the Judgment Day, sorry, because there's going to be a lot of Judgment Day on TV now with Rhea winning this. I would have picked Bailey. I would have picked Bailey as my go-to.
I picked Rhea because I picked with who I wanted to see Charlotte Flair go at it with, and that is the only person. And that's one of the things, when you're like, I don't really want to see Bailey versus Charlotte. I don't really want to see Becky versus Charlotte. And really, when you look at everybody in the match, who in there would I want to see take on Charlotte? No one. So when it comes down to it, it was either Rhea Ripley wins the Rumble or whoever wins the Rumble has to pick Bianca because they're not going to match up with Charlotte right. My wild card, because I had a wild card for each. Each Rumble, my regular pick was Cody Rhodes. My wild card, of course, was The Rock. For this match, my regular pick was Rhea Ripley. My wild card was Tessa Blanchard because if Tessa Blanchard,
with your heart, he books with his heart, people.
If I would have booked with my heart with Tessa Blanchard, can you imagine if Tessa Blanchard would have won the Rumble and picked Charlotte Flair? We got Tully involved and Ric Flair, and
dude. I have a better chance of getting signed by WWE with Tessa Blanchard's background than anybody, than like her for sure. Right. Here's the thing. The reason why Bailey can't win the Rumble is because she's got this fucking blood feud with Becky Lynch that's going to have to be settled. And when they do, I think it's going to be great.
Yeah.
I know that happened at WrestleMania.
They had Bailey eliminate Becky, and I think that's where that's got to go. I mean, that's a classic waiting to happen.
So Rhea Ripley wins the Royal Rumble, and we are out of this match and on to the main event. And this was actually, we have to mention really quick about how for the first time ever in the history of the Royal Rumble, the WWE held Kid Rock karaoke right in the middle of the ring.
Oh no.
We're going to talk about Hardy.
I am going to talk about Hardy for just a minute because I believe that there are people. Now we're going to get really deep here on the House of Kayfabe right now. So if you're not prepared to go down this journey, you might want to put it on mute for just a little bit, because I have to speak about a serious thing that happens in the world where musicians sell their soul to the devil. It happens. It happens, and Hardy is a complete proof that there are people out there that sell their souls to the devil so they can have fame and fortune, because it damn sure ain't talent. I don't know where this guy came from. Just out of nowhere, there's this guy named Hardy, and everyone loves him, and he's super popular. And you know what? I'm going to go ahead and pass it to you guys, because I believe this man.
What?
I believe this man sold his soul to the devil to get on that stage last night, because I can't think of any other reason to put him on there.
He has to be an industry plant. Like, if you're in the music scene, and I have a drum teacher channel on YouTube, and I'm kind of knee deep in all this bullshit. So there are these things called industry plants, where they're like, it's someone like Billie Eilish is the queen of the industry plant. Her dad is a producer and her mom's a songwriter, some shit like that. Hardy has to be like, his dad has to be some big wig on Music Row in Nashville. That's the only way that, like, nepotism.
His dad is not Matt Hardy.
Well, you can see Hardy's appearance on Mountain Stage 3 years ago. So they were, predicting the future with that guy. Here's the thing. His drummer, who I didn't know was with him, he's a friend of mine. Harry is his name. His name's Harry Myrie. He's actually also a YouTuber. Oh, I texted Harry, and I didn't want to say anything. He's like, dude, I saw you on the WWE ring, man. Who's that great drummer? And what I really wanted to say to him, and I know I can say this here because he doesn't watch this shit. Man, that sucks. That's some of the worst shit. Like, just when you think it can't get any worse, man, it does. And Adam, you're in the music business. Did you ever think it could get this bad?
I don't even know, dude. I'm looking at the lyrics right now. I don't even want to read
them. Give us a
them.
sample. Give us a sample.
I don't even want to read them.
Give us a taste.
He kept saying the word Instagram.
Okay.
Like, it's in the chorus. The chorus contains the word Instagram.
Well, tell me what it is.
Well, but he didn't say this on the pay-per-view. I'm still the same old redneck fuck. Don't give a damn. Ain't afraid to throw a dead buck on my Instagram.
Oh my God.
This is some Kid Rock shit. I mean, this is
Tell
Me How to Live. This is Monster Truck.
See, that's what I was thinking that it was when I was watching it. I was like, man, this is like a Kid Rock tribute band.
Grain alcohol in my cup. Got the whole house wall to wall, and I still ain't sold out. Yeah. Sold Out is the name of the song.
Oh, who booked this shit?
Man, I'm sorry. Like, I try not to. Like, I'm happy for him. Like, make your money, dude.
Let the hate flow through your veins, Adam
absolutely.
Harris.
And I'm sorry, but that drummer was doing some weird shit, and it wasn't play the drums.
Oh no, he knows what he was doing.
Oh man, like that
he
could
knows
be a
what he was
master
doing.
class in how to be on pay-per-view and play the drums. Those drums didn't even look like what
they weren't
sound
mic'd.
like.
Well, they weren't mic'd for one thing.
There wasn't a microphone in that entire arena.
And man, I'm telling you, Harry did music. That. I'm telling you, Harry was working. He knows. Dude, he knows. He knows his position.
Hats off to him.
I did a 3-hour interview on my channel with him. He knows, but he's getting paid.
Yeah,
and that's about all we can talk about.
Say, go Hardy, bullshit. Go. Make your money.
Yeah,
go the fuck away.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and pass over Mr. Hardy. If you're not jumping off ladders, I don't care about you.
Or going to rehab.
Right. On the next one, we go into Roman Reigns versus Kevin Owens, and this match exceeded all expectations. The storyline here is absolute artistry. Like, it's art. This is what wrestling's all about, is telling a story like what they're telling here. And this match was great.
And we knew that Kevin Owens had no chance of winning. But we all kept watching, and you know what they did? And I thought this was very smart. They gave him a visual pin. Yeah. We got a ref bump, and he got a visual pin because the crowd counted to 5, right? So they, as we watched this, God, Triple H, he's so good. We watched this knowing that Kevin Owens had no chance. I had a better chance of winning last night than Kevin Owens. But they gave him a visual pin, and they still made him strong. So
They
right
did.
now, down the road, Kevin Owens can say, I pinned you with a pop-up power bomb on a ref bump. Man, when he took that backwards bump twice into the ring stairs, look, man, I'm pretty good at like understanding the magic, if you know what I mean. I still don't know how he did that without becoming paralyzed. Brian Resner, I know you've taken bumps.
I have.
How the fuck? What's the magic there? How did that happen?
I mean, honestly, there isn't magic there. It's flinging back and hoping that you're not going to the hospital. Kevin Owens is I mean, he is a badass, man.
Master.
I see Kevin Owens take stuff that he doesn't have to take all the time. A lot of people don't realize it because he's so big. You know, you see Darby Allin in AEW, some of the bumps he takes, and you're like, Jesus Christ, how's this guy walk around during the day? Like this guy is going to be in a wheelchair one day. But you don't realize that Kevin Owens takes some of the same bumps. He's just bigger. So you expect him to be more durable. But really, when it comes down to it, some of the stuff that Kevin Owens takes on a regular basis would smash a lesser man.
This was as good of a match as it could have been because everyone knew what the ending was. They still made Kevin Owens look strong. We all know what we were waiting on. We were waiting on the end of this match, and it's years in the making, months in the making with Sami Zayn as part of it. But the way that they worked the end of this, and if you noticed, the announcers who had done one of the best jobs that we've heard in a while, let it breathe and didn't say shit for a lot of minutes to watch this go down. This was a fucking masterpiece. It
really was
wrestling,
and a lot of false finishes. We've seen a lot of things that could have finished this match that didn't. We've seen stunners that got kicked out of. We've seen spears that got kicked out of. We've seen Superman punches that got kicked out of. We've seen the visual pin, like you said, but there was no one to make the count. It was back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And then finally, when we did see the finish, it was like everybody knew it was going to be the finish. You knew that wasn't going to be a false finish because it had went so long that you knew. I mean, hell, it's 12:15 at night at this point. We're past midnight. There's no way we're going to get a kick out here. And we did get the 1, the 2, and the 3, but it was far from over at that point. And seeing what, you know, I think that's why we're going to see the Jey Uso thing be a bigger deal, because Jey was excited. You could see it in his face. The excitement was there for the story. You know, the story is that Jey's excited to go ahead and make Sami an official member of the bloodline. And you believe in your heart of hearts that that's what Sami wants. And at that moment, that is what Sami's character wants more than anything in the world, to join the bloodline and be officially a member, not an honorary member, but an official member that gets to wear a fucking lei and everything, all of that shit. And it was coming. It was there. And Roman's like, no, let's go ahead and test him a little bit farther. And that test was the straw, the proverbial straw that broke the camel's back and sent us into a very interesting story that somehow Cody Rhodes has to fit into.
Well, here's the thing. And Adam, I know, you're another one of the deathmatch guys around here, and I'm not, but I also know the importance of
a deathmatch guy.
Sorry, go ahead. I just want to clarify
watch
that.
George South.
I'm not saying I don't watch it, but I'm not a deathmatch guy.
But what I was bringing up was,
well, I mean, technically, I'm not a deathmatch guy either, but I do like to see people be very fucking violent.
Here's the thing about this, and I'm the anti-deathmatch guy, and I don't like a lot of hardcore shit. But this is where AEW gets it right, but they don't. They do it too much. We needed blood. The only way that this could have been better last night, the only way, and it would have been more impactful, and it was so impactful anyway, was Kevin Owens needed to be fucking busted open, and then Sami Zayn needed to be busted open. It's the only thing that makes this better. The way that they teased him hitting Roman Reigns, they teased it twice. If you notice, Roman even walked in front of him to be in front of him, and he was in front of Kevin Owens.
And Roman's character was completely convinced that there was no way in hell that Sami Zayn was ever going to swing that chair at him. And you've seen that in the acting, what he was doing. You've seen that Roman Reigns had no concern whatsoever that he was going to get hit in the back of the head with a chair just like he did from Seth Rollins. He didn't expect it.
It was masterful. Adam Harris in the text today said he woke up thinking about that pop. And when I woke up, it was the first text I read. And then I thought about that pop. Steve New is here. Me and him both have experienced real live Road Warrior pops. Last night, Adam,
something else.
This was different. It was different.
It kept going. And there was no music either. It was not cued by music or an anticipation like, oh, here it comes. And it was 51,000 people reacting, and it maxed out the microphones of the pay-per-view feed. It went beyond words. I mean, I don't even know, how do you talk about Picasso's Starry Night, when it just got painted last night? It's difficult to even say just how good this is, and it's still going, by the way. And it's still going. And
those people are still in San Antonio right now screaming over Sami Zayn.
They're still yelling. The pop is still happening.
They don't have jobs or anything.
Reverberating
on a WWE pay-per-view, where I guess they can kind of let this get by because it's not on cable TV, and AEW does it all the time. They had "fuck you Roman" chants. They got Roman Reigns last night, got real Sergeant Slaughter going into, what was it, WrestleMania 9? What was it? What was it? 7.
It was 7.
They got that kind of "fuck you Roman Reigns." And Roman has been, I say it all the time that tweeners don't really exist.
Teetering,
but if there was one, Roman Reigns is teetering on that cool, badass,
definitely.
Kevin Nash heel, but also like cool, badass face, Stone Cold. He's been teetering. Not now. He just fucking screwed over the number one baby face in all of wrestling, and they fucking hated him. And for us marks who know everything, we know so much. Didn't last night you shed that kayfabe for just a second, or no, you put the kayfabe back on and was like, you know what? Fuck this guy. How would you do that to Sami Zayn? And it's what wrestling is. It's when wrestling's good, it's the best.
And it really shows that Sami Zayn, even though he's put in all these shitty situations for years in the WWE and hasn't been able to get over the way that we knew that he had the capability of getting over, the second that you plug him in to the right spot, he shines like a diamond. And you're going to see more of Sami Zayn. This could be what elevates Sami Zayn's whole existence. Honestly, I feel like we're going to see the elevation of every one of them. I feel like that piece at the end elevated Kevin Owens. He got that visual pin, and he was beaten down by a group of people. It elevated Sami Zayn, who turned on the bloodline, even though he didn't want to. He had to, because of the way that he was disrespected, and he had to protect his friend. So you see Sami Zayn getting elevated. Roman, it gets elevated every time that he puts his boots on in the morning. So he doesn't even need the elevation, but still received it. And then you got Jay Uso. He's being elevated because we all know that he has a return blow to Roman that is due, that he has not dished out.
This goes back to one of our first podcasts that we did. If you all remember, was it Jay, the first one in the bloodline?
Absolutely.
We did me, you, and Stephen P. New did a podcast where we talked about how he just completely cucked Jey Uso for weeks and put his thumb on him every time, and to the point where it got kind of uncomfortable. I was like, man, is this some sort of like sadomasochist shit that we're seeing, that you have to like humiliate your cousin to see if he's worthy?
That story made Roman. I mean,
that's what it was for, was to make him as the tribal chief.
You're right.
To make them subservient to the GOAT, man, to God mode.
And now that we see Jay walking away with mixed feelings on what he feels about what just happened, and then you also got to think about Solo. Solo looks like an absolute badass, man. If that guy weighed about 100 more pounds, he would be Umaga.
He's got a cousin that if he could come, it would be the person you're talking about. If Jacob Fatu could be in the WWE, that's who it should be. Solo's it looks like
we're going to see Leo come over soon too, and that man is gigantic. So who knows what is in store for the bloodline, but it looks like everybody was elevated, even Jimmy, because Jimmy now, because of Jay's mixed feelings, is separate. It's the first time that we've seen him be single now, even though he's half the tag team champions and he's not single.
Let's not forget they're the champs right now. You know,
I forgot about that.
Huge rift between the tag.
But we see the possibility that we could see Jimmy Uso as a singles competitor one day. We could see. We've already seen Jay as a singles
main event. Jey
competitor.
Uso, yeah.
And really, if you have been following the Usos for a long time, you never thought Jay was going to be the standout guy. It was always Jimmy. Jimmy could go on his own. Jay probably couldn't. Jay showed the world that he totally could, totally can, and probably will. Who knows who's going to be the guy to dethrone Roman Reigns, but it might not be Cody Rhodes. It might be Jey Uso.
There's the name. That Cody Rhodes, and we alluded to this about an hour and 20 minutes ago. About hour and 20. We had, and obviously I trust Triple H to have a plan, but there's a Cody Rhodes, Sami Zayn problem here. Because yes, Cody Rhodes is over to the moon, but he ain't Sami Zayn over. And I think that people are going to want to see, like, and we talked about this on our Raw 30 review, Adam. We asked, can Sami Zayn be the one to dethrone Roman Reigns? Like, Brian and Adam both answer that for me. Is it going to be Cody like it should be and like it's written in the stars? Or is Sami Zayn really going to be the undisputed fucking champion of WWE? El Generico from Ring of Honor.
I will go first. Sorry, Adam, not to cut you off if you were going somewhere, but I will go first, and I will say that making Sami Zayn the champion would ruin all of this. And I will say this because Kofi Kingston, that is the same. It's the same feel. Yeah. Kofi Kingston, everybody wanted Kofi to win the title till he won the title. And then it was like, oh, this is why he was away from the title. This is why nobody wanted him to go near the title, because he's really they normally say this about presidents, but he was a lame duck champion. And I feel as if the title would bring a spotlight to Sammy that would not be good for what they're building here. Now, could I see this leading to Sami Zayn and KO winning the tag titles? Hell yeah, that would be where I would go. I would go in that direction. Now, I would have Sami Zayn and Roman Reigns. I would have that match.
Well,
but I'd have it. I would have it at Elimination Chamber, and I would use it as another way to put Roman over as an absolute brutal, just dictator of the tribe. But I would eventually push Sammy to getting with KO and going after those tag titles with Jay and Jimmy. And I would have Jay and Jimmy possibly split up there, with Jay going his own way and costing them to lose the tag titles to Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. And then you would have something, because then you could take Jimmy out of there. Jimmy could be feuding with Jay at that point. We could see the Jay versus Jimmy match, which is really what a lot of people want to see, and they don't even realize they want to see it yet. So having Jimmy and Jay go their own way and having the titles go to Sami Zayn and KO is the perfect way to end all of this storyline and send Roman into a match with Cody Rhodes, where Cody realizes we will call this the Boyhood Dream Part 2, starring Cody Rhodes this time instead of Shawn Michaels. I could easily see Cody Rhodes winning the championship from Roman Reigns.
Adam, can Sami Zayn be the undisputed world champion of WWE?
Finish the story. Isn't that what Cody's weight belt said? Is that what it was? Finish the story or something? I'm trying to find it. I wrote it down, whatever. That's what you're talking about. Yeah. Cody's got to finish the story. Can he? It could, but I don't think, I think Brian's right. Sami Zayn will not be WWE champion. The beauty of this is that we all believe that there's that glimmer of, there's a hope. It's actually could be a possibility. And if he were given the shot, which it looks like he's going to, it's a chance. But I think Brian's right on. I mean, I think this all leads to Sammy and Kevin getting the tag belts off the Usos. I'll go one step further to say it's Jimmy and Jay at SummerSlam. Like, this goes all the way to SummerSlam. This is not ending soon. This is going to be something that carries its way on until both those guys are elevated. Both Jimmy and Jay, I think, could be main event. It's all about what happens. What they're going to work in, maybe a 6-man of some sort. Who the hell knows? Solo's got to be in there somewhere. But I think you're right. All these people are getting elevated, and these are everybody at the top of their game. Everybody in this angle is at the top of their game, from Paul Heyman to Sami Zayn to the Usos. And even Solo, I think, is being elevated far beyond his experience. And
I would like to
watch.
I'd like to throw in another mistake, and no one's going to agree with me at first, but hear me out. The mistake of ending the 24/7 championship. Ugh. Now, I know everyone was happy about the end of that title, but the one thing that I said could come good of the 24/7 title is by putting it on someone who couldn't be stopped, someone who wasn't running from a group of people, who was taking anyone out to where people were afraid to come and challenge for the 24/7. And you could have done that with Solo. You could have taken Solo. Solo could have won that 24/7 championship and made it something, and just carried it around, not fearing any man on the face of the planet. And it could have absolutely made Solo. And you can't really,
and whoever beat him eventually, right? Like whoever would eventually take that made him.
It would make them too. So you could have done something with the 24/7 title that could have been a blessing to Solo, and could have been a blessing to whoever would have taken that title eventually.
Say whatever you want, other Steve, about Brian Resner, but he just made the 24/7 title relevant. So.
Well, as long as they do a redesign, I'm behind you.
And he would make the belt look better too.
Make the belt look better.
I would make the belt look better, but if I was going to put a belt on a prize fighter, that does look like some back alley prize fighter title.
Yeah, it does. That green strap. Man, let's wrap this up, guys. Like, am I being hyperbolic in saying that this is one of the better special live events that we've seen in recent memory?
I would say that's pretty fair.
Sets a great tone for the year.
So it's not in the Tokyo Dome, but give it a star rating. Adam Harris, stars for Royal Rumble 2023.
Oh man, 4 out of 5. I would say. The only thing that would have improved it for me might have been like I was half expecting Solo to be in there and like to have a big run. Like I feel like he's somebody that could have had a nice solid run and been a dominator in the Rumble. And so between that and maybe a few more NXT call-ups, that's the only thing I thought could have made a little more sense to make it a 5-star. But I mean, Roman Reigns has mastered the main event match. We saw the ultimate drama, and God, man, those crowd, if they got in their seats at 7 p.m., it was 4.5 hours in by the time that stuff was happening. And we heard the loudest pop of our lifetime 4.5 hours into a show.
After midnight. Midnight, we heard the biggest pop ever. So I will go with you on that. I will say 4 out of 5 stars. I could even be pressured to do 4.5.
4.5.
It was a great pay-per-view. It was great for the sense of storyline progression.
Yep.
So that's
which is what the Rumble is. The Rumble is not blowing off anything; it's building. Like this is the most building of all the pay-per-views. So yeah, you're right.
So Adam and I can agree at 4 stars. We could even be pressured to go 4.5, but we're not. We're going to stick with 4. Stephen Barker, where do you fall on the scale of stars? But be Dave Meltzer for me.
Okay. Okay. So, yeah, man, like, dude, I'm pretty not smooth with my speaking. Fucking Dave Meltzer's been doing this shit for like 30 years and he's still an machine. Fuck that guy. I would give this, if Nikita Lyons would have showed up. See,
which she should have. She totally should have.
Hurt.
Yeah,
I think Adam said she's hurt.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan of her Instagram. I don't know if she's a good wrestler or not, but if she'd have showed up, that would have made it a 4.5. I'd give it 4.25. And the reason why it's not 5 is the women's rumble is just too fucking much. It's too much filler, no killer. It's what we talked about with
some blood.
Like, here's the thing. In the Royal Rumble, AJ Styles wasn't even in it. That's how deep WWE is right now in the men's,
say a lot about the roster.
men's division, right?
AJ is hurt.
Okay.
Yeah, AJ's hurt as well, or else he would have probably been in there. I can't believe they didn't replace Mysterio with somebody. You didn't have somebody you could throw in when he got hurt on SmackDown. You know, you would think that they would have put somebody in there.
I give it a 4.25. The female Rumble match, you need 20. WNBA goes 40. It's okay. You're not lesser. Look, you get to sell all the hair dye that you want, and that's fine. But let's get that moving. It could be 5 if it wasn't for the filler stuff. Oh,
after what you told me about the WNBA, I would like to say that this podcast has given me more information about the Women's Basketball Association than anything I've ever watched in my life. Thank you for that, Stephen Barker. It has been a fabulous night reviewing the Royal Rumble. I am so happy to be back with my friends whom I love so much and talking wrestling. And we will see you next time. Make sure you hit subscribe. Make sure you hit that little bell so you get the notifications to tell you there's new content on our glorious page. And make sure you tell your friends about it. Maybe you could share this video on your social media pages so more people can get down with the house of kayfabe and become a resident of such a glorious house that it is. We will be back next time right here on YouTube, the House of Kayfabe channel.
This is your editor, Steve, in the future. I do apologize for our windows moving.